There must be a beginning of any great matter, but the continuing unto the end until it be thoroughly finished yields the true glory. Sir Francis Drake, 1587. Welcome back to the BXG Podcast. I am your captain for this endeavor in this glory-seeking review of the Uncharted films starring Tom Holland. With me, as always, is my co-host, Gregory Goddamn Filson. Greg, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm fresh from seeing this movie. I'm excited to talk about it. I got Zendaya and I got Tom Holland right here with me.
Right.
Beautiful couple. Glad they could join us. They're not going to talk tonight because they got their mask on, but
right.
You know, as we know, when you wear a mask, it affects your ears. So
I don't know that that's accurate.
That's what women from Orange County have told me many times.
All right, so we're here to talk about Uncharted. I have Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg behind me. Zendaya is actually not in this film.
No,
but Holland,
she should be in everything.
I'm not sure about what's up with his hair these days. It's a little.
We're just growing it long.
Yeah.
We'll grow our hair long at some point.
So we're going to review Uncharted, the film adaptation of probably one of Sony's biggest franchises, especially from the mid-aughts until now, in the last 15 years or so. It came out Friday, February 18th. In the first weekend at the box office, it made it's estimated through President's Day to make 140 million worldwide, which isn't necessarily setting the world on fire, obviously, but it also did make back the budget.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Sony's happy with that for what's being said. So this is a peculiar movie in a lot of different ways. It's a video game adaptation. It is scored very low on critical response on Rotten Tomatoes. It's currently a 40 critical. On the other hand, it's a 90 fan. So there's a very large disparity there between the critical response and the fan response. I looked at some of the critical reviews, and I think that we're going to kind of get into some of the things that the negative reviews had said. But before that, it's probably worth noting that this game series is very near and dear to my heart. I would say that it is my favorite series as an adult gamer, because I think there's kind of three different phases. There's me as like a kid, and then me as a teenager, young, like college, and then as an adult. And I would say probably Mario as a kid, and then Final Fantasy as a teenager, kind of younger in my 20s. And then since then, with some more mature games, Uncharted is probably my favorite series in that time. This movie it's been very tortured, and it took 14 years to make. And I'm going to go through some of that just to kind of set the stage for just to kind of demonstrate how difficult a road this movie has had. I have a shard of glass on my finger from our Oreo review that we just recorded, so that's fun. The adaptation of one of PlayStation's best and most well-known first-party exclusive series, Uncharted, developed at Naughty Dog, began in 2008, a year after the release of the original game. The original script was being developed in tandem by Thomas Dean Donnelly and Joshua Oppenheimer for Columbia. Nathan Fillion campaigned hard for the role of Nathan Drake and would later star in a fan-made film. In 2010, it was confirmed that Donnelly and Oppenheimer left the project, and writing and directing role was taken up by David O. Russell. Additionally, in 2010, it was suggested that Mark Wahlberg would step into the role as Nathan Drake. and he did begin to discuss the project in some interviews. In 2011, O. Russell left the project and was replaced by Neil Berger in the same role, but he also departed the project in 2012. Replaced by husband and wife team Marianne and Cormac Wibberley to rewrite, and Seth Gordon joined the project in 2014 as the director, with production set to begin in 2015 for a 2016 release. The issue then became that Wahlberg stepped away, and several actors were approached to replace him, including none other than Christopher Pratt, but all seemingly declined, leading Gordon to leave the project in 2015 to work on Baywatch. In 2016, Joe Carnahan was reported to be working on yet another draft of the script, with Sean Levy set to direct. In 2017, Tom Holland was attached to play a young Nathan Drake. However, Levy left the project to work on Free Guy. In 2019, it was reported that Dan Trachtenberg had signed on to direct with a December 2020 release date. The same year, Trachtenberg left the project and was replaced by Travis Knight, and Mark Wahlberg returned to the project to play Victor Goddamn Sullivan. But by that time, Knight left the project as well due to schedule conflicts with Holland, presumably Spider-Man related shenanigans. Ruben Fleischer signed on January 2020 to direct, and Sophia Ali would join the cast as Chloe Fraser, with Antonio Banderas and Tati Gabrielle joining the film as the villains. Meanwhile, on the PlayStation side of things, in 2007, Naughty Dog released Uncharted: Drake's Fortune, starring the voice talent of Nolan North as Nathan Drake, Richard McGonagle as Victor Sullivan, and Emily Rose as Nate's love interest, Elena Fisher. The trio raced through the Amazonian jungle to find the famed El Dorado treasure. In 2009, Uncharted Among Thieves, Claudia Black joined the class as Chloe Fraser, and the game saw Nate and Sully uncover the famed Shangri-La, or rather Shambhala, in the Himalayan mountains. In 2011, we were treated to Uncharted: Drake's Deception on PS3 and Uncharted: Golden Abyss on the PlayStation Vita. Drake's Deception rounded the original trilogy, in which the gang tracked down the course of Lawrence of Arabia through the Rubicali Desert to the steps of the lost city of Iram of the Pillars. In 2016, the journey ended for Nate and Sully when they were joined by Nate's brother Sam, voiced by Troy Baker, in Uncharted 4: Thief's End, in which they tracked down the pirate treasure of Henry Avery, who robbed a trade ship valued at $400 million and founded the pirate utopian paradise of Libertalia in Madagascar. The games feature a third-person over-the-shoulder cover fire action set, while also heavily relying on puzzle solving and parkour climbing. Finally, after 14 years, the film arrived February 18th, 2022, with the previous mentioned cast taking inspiration from several of the games, primarily the fourth, to track down a hidden treasure of Ferdinand Magellan, hidden in the Philippines, with a secret path leading the whole way back to Spain. So, with all of that kind of laid out, I mean, this movie saw about 7 or 8 directors, a couple different leads.
A lot going on.
Spoiler free. Your thoughts?
Okay, so truth be told, I was not that excited to see this movie. At the end of the day, I was like, okay. I mean, not because of reviews, right? Because like that's ridiculous. I mean, I just whatever. I wasn't that excited, but I went and saw it. I saw it solo. Jamie was out on it, and that's fine. I liked it. It was one of those things where like I didn't love it. This is not a lovable movie to some degree, but I think this is kind of what you would expect from this movie. You have Mark Wahlberg, you have Tom Holland, and Tom Holland's coming off of Spider-Man, so you know he's going to do, action-y things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg, who is just Mark Wahlberg kind of in every movie. He's sort of funny. He's sort of a badass. He's sort of just whatever. He's very Boston and everything. No matter what he does, he's very Boston. The movie moved very quickly. It's 2 hours, about 2 hours. I think it's an hour and 57 minutes, but it kicks. Like, I mean, I remember I was like, wow, this movie seems to be going like pretty quick. And I like looked at my watch real quick and little light up on my, and I was like, well, dang, this movie's almost over. I was like,
Yeah.
I was amazed how quick this movie went. And I played the first game. I told you that I played the first game, and you're telling how you track my trophies. And I actually disconnected online because I got tired of trophy stuff. I got tired of just it telling me I'm terrible at this game, essentially, because I whatever. It was that and Batman, and I was bad. So I just disconnected online. I finished the first game. I have not played the other ones. I don't know where the disc are at. But I liked the series on that. I mean, this is a movie. You can't do a video game and a movie the same way. But the movie still felt like a video game because you're still doing parkour. You're still like the fact that like Tom Holland's getting hit by like things falling out of the air and he's fine. His ribs aren't broken. All these kind of things, which is fine. Like, I'm actually 100% okay with that kind of stuff. I mean, a preview for this movie was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So once you've released yourself to that, I'm okay.
I didn't have that in my show.
Okay, well, I did. Yeah. And so, like, you have to be okay with certain things. You have to it just, like, belief is out the window. But this movie moved really quickly. I read one reviewer's like, oh, there was nothing, like insanely, like, essential about this. But it's an action movie. It's a video game movie. It's set up for sequels. Like, if you don't think this movie's set up for sequels before you go and see it, then you're crazy. So, like, nobody's life that is important is at risk. And if you play the video game at all, you understand, like, how it's a parkour thing. You understand that it's, Nathan Drake's journey for his brother, all this kind of different thing. And so for me, it was an enjoyable movie. I mean, yes, it is not, it's not Goodfellas, but I'm glad it wasn't anything like that. Like, I like a silly action movie. It doesn't, like, the best action movies are the Mission Impossible movies for me, in that sense of, like, there's not a ton of plot, but, like, it's just pure action. I think those movies are really good. And then the best, like, heist movies that also involve action are the James Bond movies. And this had a heist, which is fun. There was no getting the gang back together, which I would have loved, but we don't know that gang yet. So that's fine. But, you have Tom Holland doing the drink thing as Nathan Drake, flipping the drinks around. I think this movie was just a fun movie. I think it's a good release where it's like, I don't remember the last time I saw an action movie that wasn't a Marvel movie and in theaters. And so
Bond?
Oh yeah. But like, that's still, to me, like, a Bond movie is not an action movie as much as it is a spy thriller. And so that's a little different. I'm talking pure action where, like, the plot is not that important. And because video games, as much as I know you may think differently, it's like the plot is important, but you just want to have fun playing the game. Like, and there's some very plot-driven video games, and I won't disagree with that. But, like, if the plot's very heavy, but the game isn't that fun to play, then is it actually good? So for me, it's like, this was a good experience for me to kind of break away from other things I've seen. And that may be why I think this movie was fine. It was Tom Holland doing Spider-Man things, jumping around and being, invincible, which is fine to me. I don't care about that. It was Mark Wahlberg doing Mark Wahlberg things. Like, is this a 10 out? No, this is not a 10 out of 10 movie. But it was a fun enough movie that moved along with no consequences that were, like, that big. And, like, it's a video game. I read reviews on this where people were like, oh, there was, like, not enough at play, and they were able to find everything so quickly. It's like, guess what happens when you play a video game? You can find stuff, like, things are guided along. And I don't mean that in, like, a weird way, but it's like, it was very quickly done. But also, if you wanted to make this exactly like the video game, then it takes you 20 hours. Yeah. And it takes you certain things, And so I think this movie was a good adaptation of a video game when you kind of understand you follow all the routes exactly as the video game would tell you to do. And Tom Holland was funny enough. He's charming enough. The big thing about Tom Holland is he's very charming. And that is hard. There's a lot of good actors out there who aren't that charming. He's very charming. And he carries this movie in a nice way. I was expecting, because he talked about how he did a lot of superhero, like, he didn't actually do that as much as I thought. I thought he actually played the role the way that a video game character would be in a positive sense. So I like this movie. I think the sequel will be fine and fun, but sometimes it's good to just have a fun movie that kind of knows where it's at. And I think that is the reason why it's a 40% and a 90%. Because some people don't get it, and some people are like, sometimes I just want to have fun at movies, which is the idea initially was just to see a movie. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts because you were way more into this game than I was.
Yeah.
And you look at things like this differently than I do.
Yeah, going back to when we did the trailer reaction for the first trailer, I was very down on this.
Yeah.
I went in with extremely low expectations, and I would say that my expectations were pleasantly exceeded because I did find this to be a good movie. And I was a little bit surprised because my thought on the matter was that the reason it scored so poorly critically was that it didn't take enough from the games, or it changed too much stuff from the games. But what I actually found in reading those reviews is that the people who reviewed the movie didn't understand the spirit of the games.
Right.
And I think that because initially my thought was, well, I wonder if this would have scored better if it was just, random action treasure hunter movie name. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, like just not Uncharted, and this isn't Nathan Drake, and that's not Victor Sullivan.
It's called Magellan's Quest.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
We'll just call it that. And I was a bit taken aback because a lot of the criticisms came from what make those characters in the game. And so I think that that is a big reason why the critical response is so low and the fan response is so high. With that being said, I do have some fundamental problems with it just based on the games, because they took some liberties with some things. I was under the impression that this was a prequel in the sense that it happened before Drake's Fortune. But the reality of it is that this is its own thing because of the way that they made changes to things. I don't necessarily have a problem with that per se, but I do have a couple of issues with that. But spoiler free, I actually really enjoyed the movie. I was somewhat surprised. I did honestly think it could have been 15 minutes longer. And
it could have been a longer movie, right?
Yeah,
you're right.
I think that would have helped it.
Never say that.
Right. We usually want less, but I honestly think 15 minutes to help flesh out a little bit more. I do think that is a valid criticism in the sense that this movie's 2 hours long and the protagonists just seem to know everything, or they just seem to find everything like very easily. And they're always one step ahead of the bad guys. But it's a 2 hour movie, so you have to kind of cut some of that out, like you had said.
Well, my thing is too, is like, I love the Ocean's movies. Those are some of my favorite movies. George Clooney knows everything. He figures out everything in 25 minutes in the movies.
Right.
So it's like, and that was my biggest criticism of the criticism, is people were like, it was too easy. It's like, have you watched Ocean's movies where he's just like, well, we just do this and this and this and we're good.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not actually like that. So good luck.
Yeah. Like you said, you have to suspend disbelief a little bit. But with that being said, we're going to get into spoilers.
Yeah.
So spoilers are happening. They're incoming right now.
Woo!
Here they are. Spoilers. I will say this. I will say we're probably going to spoil the movie and some of the games. So if you haven't played the games, you can pick up the Nathan Drake collection. You can pick up the Legacy of Thieves collection and play through all those.
If you have my disc, just play them. That's okay with me.
If you have Greg's disc, just go ahead and bang that out. I will say that I think you're probably safe on the Golden Abyss stuff for the Vita. Great game, but they're not touching that. So spoilers.
I mean, I just thought like getting Magellan's stuff was very cool. Like, I would just say like the way that they got to it and the way it like all the other stuff leading up to it was really cool. But it's just, I thought that was fun. You have these ships; they're under this like thing in the ocean and like middle of nowhere, and it's a secret. You have to take the spices off and then find it like that. So I thought that was really cool. I thought, this isn't a spoiler or anything, but I just thought the way that Tom Holland played the bartender, but also wasn't truly in, but was always in on it, was also just a good little trope, because you have to do something like that. And for him to steal the bracelet in the first act of the movie, I think it was actually a good sign of like, okay, well, like, Tom Holland is such a likable guy as Spider-Man.
Sure.
But he would never do that as Spider-Man. So you get that disconnect of him not being Spider-Man anymore. And I think that's very important, because we look at him and he even talks like Peter Parker. And, he doesn't have to some degree. It's not his English accent, because his English accent is very thick.
Right.
If you actually hear him talk. So it's just like, if it's not his English accent, you think Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so immediately he's not a bad guy. He's just not a good guy.
Right.
And
none of these people are good people.
Right.
And that's kind of like
but he's the best of the bad, right?
So,
and that's the way Nathan Drake is. He's the best of the bad people.
This is okay. So this is game to movie. And I think that it's kind of a funny hang up to have, but it was kind of a hang up that I had was that, okay, so I thought that they nailed the spirit of the parkour and the puzzle solving.
Super good.
Like, Nate knows he's done the homework about all these treasures that they're going after. So him knowing this stuff, and they kind of allude to, it's like, did you have any friends when you were growing up? Like, what did you do? But that was him. And there's more of a backstory to that within the games that they didn't really touch on. But I think if they do some sequels that focus on that, and I certainly think that we're going to see at least one sequel, that we might explore that a little bit. But, from the parkour thing and the puzzles and such, I thought that they did a great job.
Yeah.
They didn't nail... Like, he does a little bit, but he's not like a super dry sarcastic. He is a little bit, but that's Nathan Drake through and through. Like, he's getting his ass kicked a lot of the time in the game.
Yeah.
And he's being a smart aleck. But the other thing, and this is the thing that I found was that I was questioning of, how are they going to do this in the movie to be faithful to the game? And it turns out they just don't do it. Because in the games, and this is no joke, Nathan Drake is a mass murderer. Like, he kills thousands of people. Right. And so, like, how are we going to play with that? You know what I mean? Because from the jump in every game, you are taking people out. You're shooting people. You're stealth snapping their necks. You're throwing grenades, RPGs, sniper rifles, whatever. So I did wonder how they were gonna handle that aspect of the games, and they didn't really touch it until the end when he puts on the gun harness that he always wears in the games, and it played the theme track from the game, and I did get some goosebumps during that because
that was cool. That was really super cool.
I liked the villains were kind of forgettable, and I thought that they maybe were like thinking that they were making a bold choice by getting rid of Antonio Banderas like 3/5 of the way through the movie. I didn't see it coming. I also didn't care. So it wasn't like a big deal, you know what I mean, to go from one to the other. The other thing is like that I didn't really care for is that Drake and Sully are never adversarial, never. And to have them backstabbing each other a little bit I didn't like that from the game perspective.
Sure.
Chloe does that a little bit here and there. And so that was fine. But overall, I felt like they captured the spirit of the game. It is hard, and we've talked about this. This is why I think that TV is a better setting for these adaptations, and I think that The Witcher's proved that, and I think the Castlevania animes proved that, and I think The Last of Us is going to prove that as well. It's just hard to do a 17-hour game in a 2-hour movie. It's impossible, especially with so much source material. I would say that they pulled mostly from 3 and 4. The airplane scene is directly out of 3, Drake's Deception. But outside of that, most of it was very similar to A Thief's End. The scene when they're kids at the beginning with Sam and Nate escaping temporarily from the orphanage is straight out of the game. The auction heist where they steal the cross, straight out of the game. Spain's not really a factor in any of the games, so that was nice to have something original there. The Philippine sections is also very similar, not the same, but very similar to a lot of the pieces in the mid to late parts of A Thief's End. So I thought that they were faithful for the most part. They did change some things that, you live with them, I guess. My favorite part of the movie was the Nolan North cameo on the beach.
That was cool.
Yeah, when they swim out of the ocean and he says, Jesus, what happened to you guys? Hit by a plane or hit by a car, fell out of plane. And he says, man, that happened to me once too.
Yeah, that was super cool.
That was slick. I really liked that they included him because, he had said that he didn't think that the fans necessarily wanted this. And I do think to an extent that that's true. But I also think that certainly for me, huge fan of the franchise, this certainly exceeded all expectations. And I'm excited to see more.
This is shocking to me, Brenton.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love this. I wouldn't say I love it, but I really, really liked it. And I walked out of this movie happy. I was just I was pumped. I was like, if someone told me hey, you want to go for a jog or something, I would have been like, yeah, let's do it. So for you to be excited about something that you care way more about than I do. And also my thing is I want Tom Holland to be successful other than Spider-Man. I think.
And this was the best we've seen him, I think,
and this
outside
is,
of Spider-Man. Well,
I mean, between you and me, with our stuff that we've watched, there's other stuff he's been in I like him in too. But he's in the movie with Robert Pattinson, and that's good. But we didn't review that, so I can't think of. I gotta look it up real quick. But it was just he's good in that movie, and then he's good in this because he's a better. I've always thought with him that it's somewhat of, can he carry a movie on his own? Because, and we talked about this with No Way Home. The Lost City. I'm sorry. It's the devil. It's the devil all the time. That movie's good. If you haven't seen that,
I heard it wasn't that great.
Whoever told you that is wrong. That movie's good.
Critics have told
critics are wrong on that.
Okay. Well, they were wrong. They're wrong about this as well. It's becoming more and more of a theme.
Yeah. Because they're not actually good at stuff. They actually don't know anything. So critics just get paid to shit on stuff.
That's the thing, that I was saying about the complaints about the movie was one of the critics said that it was annoying hearing Sully call Drake kid all the time. It's that's what he calls video him. Game. That's what he calls him all the time.
Yes.
Yep. So that captured the spirit of that. I thought that they handled the relationships really well. And I know that that's something in interviews that Neil Druckmann, the co-president of Naughty Dog, who worked on the first 3 and was co-director on the 4th one after some shakeups at the studio, had said. It was these are games, and this kind of goes counter to your point about games with storylines, is these games are about the relationships. They're about the globe-trotting and the action pieces and such too, but these games are about the relationships. They're about Nate's relationship with Sully, the father that he never had. They're about Nate's relationship with Elena, which we didn't get Elena in this movie, which I was very surprised by that choice.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. Yeah.
I certainly think that pops up
Oh,
in
sure.
the second one, and we can talk a little bit now in the spoiler section about the end credit scenes. There was one like directly following the title splash that was not really important. I don't think. I don't even remember it. That's how unimportant it was.
It was just his brother.
Oh, his
It
brother
was
in the
his
jail
brother.
cell.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
important. It was,
Yeah, that
his
is
brother's
important.
alive. Yeah, his
Right.
brother's alive.
And he's probably in a Panamanian jail cell because
Yeah,
that's something that happens in the fourth game.
right. Right.
But the second end credit scene was him haggling with it. Was that Joshua Jackson?
I thought so. That's who
I
I
thought
thought
so
it was.
too.
I didn't look it up yet, but yeah, I'm pretty sure
Right.
it's Joshua Jackson.
I tried to look it up and I couldn't get a definitive on it. It was either that or it was the one guy from Fast and the Furious.
I think it's Joshua
Vince.
Jackson.
It did look like him. So with an eye patch, and they're haggling over a Nazi treasure map, which the Nazi treasure map is a direct lift from the first game, Drake's Fortune. So we
Right.
may see them kind of go to that. If they're planning on making a trilogy, then I wouldn't expect to see Sam in the next game or the next movie.
No, it'll be a third.
because
It'll be a
that's-
third. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be a third.
Be interesting to see how they handle that, and if these continue to make money. I'm sure that they're happy with their opening weekend.
Oh, they have to be happy with that.
Yeah.
It's
Now
number one
they've got
movie.
about, it's number one movie, and they have a week to hold on to that crown, and then
It'll get blitzkrieged
yes, it
if
will.
we're talking about Germany. But
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked a little bit about like the sequel potential and, spoilery thoughts and such. Was there anything that you didn't necessarily care for within the film?
honestly, the only thing was I wish it was a little longer. And I can't believe I'm saying this.
Yeah.
It's
not
like
not a ton longer.
10,
10
15
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
Because I was so surprised how quickly it was over. And
Mhm.
I'm like, you and I talk about all the time movies that we aren't necessarily fond of. It's like if they took 20 minutes out,
Yeah.
but in a way, isn't that good? Because we wish there was 20
You want
minutes more.
At least you want
and
more.
So you want more. I really, and this is nothing. I wish Tom Holland would do more things like this, but not in like an action movie, but where he's just being cool. And it's like, because he's nerdy as Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is actually like Peter Parker's not cool.
Right.
No matter what, like if you read Spider-Man as the teenager, if you read Spider-Man as a 30-year-old guy kind of sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And and he like in not a bad way. It's just he isn't a good, like he is so focused on being Spider-Man, he can't focus on his career.
Right.
I like Tom Holland as being cool.
Mhm.
I think that's like his thing, because like Tom Holland is cool. Like he is dating a very famous person and they do very famous things. And it's just, that's very cool. And so I like him being cool. And so it sounds weird. It's like, it's not a nitpick on the movie. It's a nitpick on him. It's just be a cool person in movies. Don't be a loser. Don't be a drug addict. Because I don't think that's his thing.
Right.
I don't, and like, you don't have to be, and this is maybe goes beyond everything. You don't have to be Robert De Niro to be a good actor.
Right.
Like I'm saying, like, I'm being 100% serious. It's like Robert De Niro is awesome and probably what most people any age think that what they want to be like. But that's also very hard. And also, like, he did some roles that sucked. And sometimes you just need to find the thing you're good at. And what Robert Pattinson's good at, what Tom Holland's good at, is being cool. And we're going to see Robert Pattinson as Batman, which is the coolest person ever. I just
top
like
two, top three.
Top two. Yeah, top 2 or 3. I mean, like, I'm so excited for that movie. I can't, they could tell me it's $300 to see it tonight. I probably would see it. If someone told me right now, I could see it for $300, I'd be like, okay, like, where's my Venmo? Like, I mean, I can't wait to see that movie. And sometimes it's good to be cool. And like, that's where we're kind of getting away from things in movies, which is sad. Like, you can't be cool anymore. Like, Paul Newman is my favorite actor of all time. All he did was be cool.
Right.
And so I hope that's what Tom Holland does. is just be cool because he's a cool guy. And like sometimes you just have to be cool. Like not everything has to be awesome. Like I don't mean like or not everything can be awesome, but everything has to be like changing the world.
Right.
And so for me with this movie is like this is a Tom Holland movie. Like it was. As much as other people were involved, like he was cool. I liked him. I liked him a lot. There's some parts where I was like, I wish he was kind of like this as Peter Parker, but then he can't be that.
Right.
And so like I'm excited. I'm excited for what's coming with this movie.
Yeah, he confirmed he's gonna be taking a break. He's been hit pretty hard.
Well, he's been doing everything.
Yeah.
He's so busy.
So I think that we're probably gonna have to wait a while to see what comes next with this, and also Spider-Man and some of the other things that he's been rumored. He said he wanted to play Jack in a Jack and Daxter game, which sounds fucking terrifying to me. There's nothing about that game that says let's get Tom Holland with giant elf ears and some annoying pet sidekick, probably voiced by Christopher Pratt.
100% Christopher Pratt.
So we'll see. I do think I think that they're going to be satisfied with the payday that came from this film, and I think they're going to be very happy at the end of the day. If this movie makes 500 million, they're ecstatic.
Oh, they're gonna lose their minds.
And I think that there's a good chance that it could pull that. Now, obviously, with the Batman around the corner, we'll see. But if it has 2 strong weeks and then has like a long tail, like we've seen with Spider-Man, I mean, Spider-Man's still going. It just became the 3rd highest grossing domestic film ever with the pandemic. So you can imagine if there wasn't, I would have seen it again if there wasn't.
Do you think if it wasn't a pandemic, it's the number 1?
No.
Okay. I don't think so either, but I just wanted to like, it's second. I think it's probably number 2.
Maybe.
It's probably number 2 without the pandemic.
Yeah, maybe.
I would have saw it a second time too. I think a lot of people would just decide I had to see it initially, but I'm not taking my chances again.
Yeah, whatever. So, but bringing it back to this is I am, like I said, pleasantly surprised. I think Sony's going to be very happy.
Sony's stoked. This.
What did you think about the PlayStation Studios logo that was at the front? That was kind of like like a little bit like the Marvel thing.
I actually thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what you need to do.
It's scary to me.
And I get that too. But I like scary is good.
Yeah. I don't need an Astrobot movie ever.
Hopefully not.
No.
He was in there. That was weird. Yeah. That was weird. I just think sometimes you have to like promote your shit though.
Yeah. I'm fearful that it's like everything's going to be a thing. You know what I mean?
Well, everything is going to be a thing, Brendan. Sorry. I was like,
everything.
Everything has to be a thing. Yeah.
The metaverse. I would give this. This is no worse. I would say it's better than any National Treasure movie. And I like those.
Oh, movies. I don't think it's better than everyone, but okay. Oh, that's fair. Okay.
National Treasure, there's only 2.
It's not better than the first one to me. But
is the first one the one where they steal the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah. Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
If you're stealing that fucking thing.
It's no worse.
It's no worse.
It's on that level.
It's on that level.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as good as any Indiana Jones movie. Not even.
Well, no, I mean, this is what this video game is based off of.
Yeah. So. Right. It's So yeah. I would give it an 8. That's where I'm at.
Literally the exact.
Okay.
That's the exact grade I was in. I cannot believe this, Brendan.
You didn't think I was gonna like it or what?
Nope. I literally was like, Brendan's gonna hate this movie. I walked out. I was like, I'm gonna love this movie. Like, not love it. I like it.
Yeah.
I was like, Brendan's gonna just shit on me, and it's gonna be a whole thing.
Well,
and
that's the thing is, like, I was looking for reasons to not like it, and I couldn't find any.
And I was looking for reasons for you not to like it either. I don't even look for a reason for me not to like things when we review them. I just like, what's Brent not gonna like?
Well, I am a grumpy guy, so.
And I'm a positive, rise and grind guy. So
5 a.m. club.
5 a.m. club. positive energy is only good energy, negative energy, bad energy. Get
I'm
that
just
out.
trying to manifest my vibes for my journey, you know?
The only way you can truly express your outside self is to love your inside self.
Right. So it's a B plus on our new rating scale. That
B
we're gonna
plus,
be
yeah, B
rolling out.
plus. Hell
So
yeah,
that's
it's
not
B
bad.
plus. I like this movie a lot.
Yeah, me
Rotten
too.
Tomatoes, you're the worst. Actually, I think
It's just an aggregate,
It's just an aggregate.
It's
It's also
just
an
an
aggregate
aggregate.
based off of nothing.
right?
So
Here's the
I had a
thing, and I've said
95-year-old
this.
woman that works for like a newspaper I've never heard of, and her view counts as much as anyone else. So that's hilarious.
It's just, I don't know.
We
I
should
don't
have a
know what
Rotten
it is.
Tomatoes discussion.
Yeah, someday. All right. Well, you know what? BXG Podcast publishes every Friday and Monday at 9 a.m. on
The Weekend Hug.
on podcast services around the globe: Podbean, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and others. Catch us on social media: Facebook.com/BHG Podcast, Instagram @BHG Podcast, @GTFils, @Y2B, Twitter @BHG Podcast, @GTFilson, @Y2B, our YouTube channel where you can watch the video of this review if you so choose, as well as our review of the Oreo 110th birthday celebration cookie. Spoilers, it's a good cookie. Did you just have another one?
Great cookie.
Oh,
No, I wish I
just
did.
looked up and you
I
looked
only
like
have
you
the
had
two.
something
No,
in your
just-
mouth.
I wish
Yeah.
I did. I would house
Right.
one right now.
Yeah.
So hungry.
Yeah.
But dinner's coming.
So, yeah, Uncharted. See it. Just see it in the
See
next
it.
2
It's
weeks.
really good.
See it in the next 2 weeks because you're gonna have
See it before Batman
more bigger priorities. Yeah.
because Batman's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that movie's gonna be awesome.
Amen. Amen. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody out there.
Thanks, everyone.